But on the 20th, which was I think last Friday, Blake's team filed for a slightly modified type of protection order.
This is her talking as Blake, right? This is Blake giving Justin suggestions. She can't reasonably expect him to respond as Ryle.
Bossy Blake said that another actress had filed a complaint.
Or at least misdirect the narrative. What I like to, call the elephant in the room, the actual lead of the story.
Blake Lively's legal battle with Justin Baldoni has taken another unexpected turn, this time with Candace Owens stepping into the conversation. Owens, never one to hold back, has now called out Blake Lively and sent a huge warning to her team. While Blake's legal team has been scrambling to keep things under wraps, Candace is making sure the truth comes out. But why is she getting involved? And what exactly is she warning Blake Lively about? Let's break down this latest Hollywood legal drama and what it means for Blake's future.
Is Blake David and is Justin Baldoni Goliath? She's the one that has the slingshot. In other relevant news, we are still waiting for Judge Lyman to rule on whether or not the extra protective order that her team requested will be granted. Leaks and very sensitive information are of great concern, especially information related to Taylor Swift. And I like to be honest, I have no idea if this is true or not, but the Taylor Swift of it all continues to make a lot of chatter.
For weeks, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's lawsuit has been dominating headlines. What started as a professional disagreement has now escalated into a full-blown legal war, with lawsuits, leaked footage, and allegations flying in every direction. But here's the shocking twist. Candace Owens has now been dragged into the conversation. The conservative commentator and political firebrand has never been one to stay silent, and now she's making it clear she has serious concerns about Blake's actions. The mention of Candace Owens in connection to this case has stirred the pot even further, making it clear that this legal drama is bigger than anyone expected.
But on the 20th, which was I think last Friday, Blake's team filed for a slightly modified type of protection order that would include increased protections to third parties. Now, we covered this filing. I told you that essentially what was buried in it was what I would describe as the Taylor Swift clause. I'm just calling it the Taylor Swift clause, essentially allowing the respective lawyers to just deem anything that they want attorney's eyes only, right? So they're like, they get a document that, and they're just like, you know what, this one, you can see it, Brian, but it's attorney's eyes only. You can't show that to anybody else. So it's really important that you guys understand this differentiation. Like, we have to distinguish between the two, what a standard court protective order is and what Blake Lively's team is asking for, which is an attorney's eyes only designation. Taylor Swift was LOLing with Blake Lively about being a dragon. She was like, yeah, I'm a dragon, rawr. And she was like plotting the takeover of the movie because she's bored and it's Tuesday and Joe Alwyn isn't responding to her text messages anymore and she's already finished her album. Well, Blake Lively's team is essentially requesting the right for their attorney to just designate that AEO, attorney eyes only, because that might unfairly harm the reputation of Taylor Swift. So to be clear, if the judge actually grants that kind of a protection order, the attorneys would become the judge of what exactly could be designated AEO. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I used a lot of examples there that were very strong examples. So let's revisit the language from Blake's initial filing, asking to strengthen the protective order.
As Candace Owens weighs in, Blake Lively's legal team is reportedly in panic mode. New reports suggest that Blake quietly changed parts of her lawsuit after Justin Baldoni leaked footage that contradicted her claims. This move has only added fuel to the fire, making people question how solid her case really is. If the footage directly refutes her allegations, why change the lawsuit? The move has left many wondering whether Blake is backtracking to avoid further exposure. Candace Owens is not buying the back and forth, and she's making it clear something doesn't add up.
This is her talking as Blake, right? This is Blake giving Justin suggestions. She can't reasonably expect him to respond as Ryle, but then to be fair to her and see it from her angle, her insisting that they talk more could be her way of saying, I'm not as comfortable with intimacy in this moment. I'd rather this scene be, or at least I thought this scene was gonna be more about talking and dancing. So we could see that, especially when at some point she spins and starts engaging with one of the extras. And this is something that I always look for when I'm trying to gauge stress or nervousness. And we see this in poker games a lot, or in all kinds of games of deception. And it's funny because I've said this on the channel before, and a lot of commenters have said, oh my God, I do that too, where in a game of deception, when someone is actually stressed by something. So in acknowledging the audience, she's clearly talking as Blake. In fact, she's been talking as Blake this entire time. So I keep going back to how strange it is that she would say he was talking to her as Justin when she keeps talking to him as Blake. It's not like she was trying to be Lily and he's cutting that off to be Justin. That's really the way it was represented at first. That's not the way it seems at all. Furthermore, when he brings up Ryan Reynolds, she really doesn't seem to mind. She doesn't seem uncomfortable with it. She's not changing the subject. She's not like not responding and trying to go back into the character of Lily. She addresses it. She acknowledges how they're always talking and, you know, I forgot to tell you something, and how that's their relationship. And then when he talks about his relationship with Emily, not only does she comment on that and talk about that and laugh about that, she also says, if that happened to her, she'd be like, oh my God, I found a sociopath.
In a shocking development, reports claim that both Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni have threatened to sue media outlets covering their lawsuit. This move has alarmed journalists who see it as an attempt to silence the press and control the narrative. For Candace Owens, who is a staunch advocate for free speech, this is deeply concerning. She's warning Blake Lively's team that attempting to manipulate the media will backfire spectacularly.
Bossy Blake said that another actress had filed a complaint, making it seem that it was about Baldoni. However, that actress was Jenny Slate, and according to The Hollywood Reporter, it had nothing to do with Justin Baldoni. Her complaint was against his producing partner, Jamie Heath. I'm gonna read this briefly because the wording matters. Quote, it stemmed from an interaction with Heath about the apartment Slate had rented in New York City, where It Ends With Us was shooting. Slate, who has a toddler, told him, his producing partner, she wasn't thrilled with the space she had rented, but that moving wasn't an option because she didn't want to lose the sizable security deposit, around $15,000.
As if this lawsuit wasn't chaotic enough, new names are now being dragged into the mess. Comedian Jenny Slate has now been mentioned in connection to the case, with some reports suggesting that she had complaints about the situation.
But Blake clearly got grossed out. I honestly feel like it was a perfect storm of two opposing personalities. So you can kind of see what's going on here. This whole article is trying to frame Justin Baldoni as this religious guy, spiritual guy who cared about people's feelings. You know, here's another snippet. When Baldoni and Wayfair executives hold meetings, they often start by asking participants to go around the table and share something private, something that brings them joy and has nothing to do with their jobs or their career. So again, they're trying to frame the environment of this movie production of Justin. Okay, he's just this really religious guy. It talks about his faith. It talks about how, you know, he did a lot of things that made people uncomfortable.
Additionally, Chelsea Handler has jumped into the conversation, mocking the entire legal dispute and calling out the absurdity of the accusations being thrown around. With more public figures weighing in, the pressure on Blake's team is only getting worse.
And kind of poking fun at Blake Lively really does give us this insight into the fact that, I mean, Chelsea Handler is somebody that's very much a champion for women, and she's very liberal in her approach and in her politics, that if Chelsea Handler is not, you know, hashtag Team Blake, that to me is very telling, that Chelsea Handler can see how ridiculous it is, that all the Blake bots online really need to just take a step back.
It's true. It's because when I read this quote, I don't see it as a knock on Justin. I mean, you could argue that it is, but I really think she's saying this to Blake because exactly, like, she should be championing Blake with Me Too and everything else. Oh, we stand together, women. But this quote is not helping Blake at all. It's the opposite. It's telling her, stop. You're not helping yourself. I don't think she's saying this to Justin.
Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni isn't staying quiet. He's firing back against Blake's legal team and accusing them of trying to keep key evidence from going public. If true, this could be a major issue in the lawsuit. Why would Blake's team want to hide evidence? And what exactly are they afraid of being revealed? This latest accusation has only added more credibility to Justin's side of the story, and Candace Owens is making sure everyone is paying attention.
Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni, and I'm also going to share some other thoughts about the ongoing case that we have. Also, AOC discusses the tax bill and what this will mean for the cuts to certain healthcare programs. So a lot to get into, and we got it all coming for you right now on The Rush. All right, well, sad to open up on a story like this, but the breaking news story is Michelle Trachtenberg, actor best known for film and television roles including Gossip Girl and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, has died, born in 85, died in 2025 before her 40th birthday, 39 years young. It's reported here in Variety that she was found in her New York City apartment, according to police. The New York Post first reported the news. Her cause of death has not been confirmed. Why Taylor's not talking about Blake, and then Justin Baldoni clapping back at Blake. A lot to get into. It's all tied together. Here is Taylor mending Travis Kelce's broken heart.
Do you listen to sad music when you're depressed, or do you listen to happy music?
Jason, the only way you can find yourself in the light is to find yourself in the dark first.
Right.
I listen to music that is very telling of my mood, yes.
I go to like sad country songs.
Yeah, I just listen to Taylor's music. She has something for everything.
That's fair. That's a good point.
All right, so there it is. That's your quick bit. They got to include Taylor or else they don't get articles written about them. That's the world they live in, kind of like me with Blake. Why is Taylor not showing up publicly for Blake? That's a question a lot of people are asking.
If Blake is innocent in all this, and if Justin Baldoni is guilty and he sexually harassed Blake Lively.
Blake's team has been working overtime to salvage her reputation, but it seems like every move they make is backfiring. Reports are now suggesting that Blake's PR team is trying to intimidate content creators into not discussing the lawsuit. If this is true, it's a huge mistake. Candace Owens has warned Blake that attacking independent voices, whether they are journalists or online creators, is never a good look. The internet never forgets, and trying to silence critics only makes you look guiltier.
Because yeah, Blake Lively's attorney is now warning content creators that are parroting Justin Baldoni's lines. It all comes in this document that we did talk about. I think this came out yesterday during the live, which if you missed yesterday's live with Zach, we had a wonderful time with Zach Peter. Hope to get him back. But I want to go through some of this because there's so much nonsense in this doc. And as Deadline here does sort of break down very well, it's just so much back and forth where ultimately they're just trying to agree on protective orders, which there should be some sort of protective order. No one's denying that, but no one wants to give. And honestly, Blake's asking for too much, in my opinion. She wants all celebrity correspondence to be private. It's called AEO, which is attorney's eyes only. All sort of private mentions from celebrities, etc., should be only for the attorneys. It's like, girl, no. You published his text messages. Can we just hold on, Blake?
In a bizarre development, reports claim that press members were warned not to ask Blake Lively any questions about Justin Baldoni during interviews. This move has raised eyebrows because if Blake had nothing to hide, why go to such extreme lengths to avoid talking about it? Candace Owens has pointed out that dodging the truth and controlling the media narrative only makes people more suspicious.
Sense was brewing, interested in the press tour that accompanied the film. You were there. You reported on the press tour for It Ends With Us. What was it like?
So I think what was really interesting about this premiere is that by the time they got to London, they had already done a number of premieres in the US, and rumours started spiralling at the New York premiere when they were not spotted together in any photo. So usually you'd expect co-stars to have their picture done together, they'd walk the red carpet together, they'd do press interviews, but they did them totally separate. So you've got Justin Baldoni and his wife having their pictures taken and him doing press on one side, and then you've got Blake Lively, Colleen Hoover, Brandon Sklenner, the other actor in the film, having their pictures together and doing press together.
And Yasmin, as a journalist attending the premiere, were you given any direction from the PR teams? Were you told there were certain things you should ask or could ask or shouldn't ask?
At the London premiere, we were essentially warned as press.
I work as a presenter on a daily news programme on the BBC News Channel, and interviewees are not able to make demands about the questions that they're willing to answer. Is this usual, Yasmin, in the entertainment space, that PRs are able to come and kind of manage the press in this way?
It's actually really uncommon. So in entertainment reporting, it should be just the same as it is in news reporting. We cannot have publicity teams telling us what we can and can't ask. And we usually and very often do turn down interviews where we are told you can't ask about X, Y, Z if we think they're relevant to the film. I think there are ways of getting around it, which is clearly what happened at the press tour here, where we get told, of course, you can come to the red carpet, you can ask whatever you like, and then about a minute before Blake Lively comes to you on your spot to interview her.
Blake Lively's legal battle with Justin Baldoni has now reached a critical point, and Candace Owens is making sure everyone is paying attention. With Blake's team scrambling to control the fallout, accusations of media threats, legal contradictions, and hidden evidence are piling up fast.
I want to know the general sentiment of Justin Baldoni versus Blake Lively. Also, how much of the article is about Baldoni versus Lively, and how much is positive or negative. And so I pasted the article. So again, let's see what the AI said about this article. Just reading it from a sentiment analysis, black and white, no bias, right? Justin Baldoni mixed to negative. The article spends significant time discussing Baldoni's connection to the Baha'i faith and how his religious and personal behaviors may have contributed to the conflict. Again, how his views, personal behaviors related to his faith has contributed to the conflict. Right? And it goes on and says, the article also details how his faith-driven approach made people uncomfortable compared to the Scientology, and highlights allegations of unprofessional conduct on set.
And if Candace Owens' warning is anything to go by, Blake might soon regret how she's handled this entire situation. Is this the beginning of the end for Blake's case? Or will she somehow manage to turn things around? One thing's for sure, Hollywood is watching.